Most people think financial destruction looks like one big mistake, a bad investment, a medical bill, or losing your job. It doesn't. Real wealth erosion is quiet. It looks like a driveway, a wallet, and a spare bedroom. The people actually losing the wealth race don't feel like they are. They feel responsible. They feel normal. They own the same things their neighbors own. By the end of this video, you'll recognize the 5 completely normal purchases silently draining your net worth. And most people are walking around with all 5 right now. I'm Penny, and I've spent the last 7 years obsessing over one question. Why do people who earn decent money still end up broke? The answer wasn't what I expected. It wasn't bad luck or low income. It was 5 specific purchases that feel completely justified in the moment, but quietly destroy your savings for decades. According to data from the Federal Reserve, the average American household carries over $100,000 in debt, yet many of these families earn well above the median income. This proves that earning more isn't the fix. The fix is identifying the invisible leaks. We're going to look at the hard numbers and the common habits that keep the middle class stuck. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, but your bank account isn't growing, this is for you. Let's get into the 5 things standing between you and true financial freedom. The first item on our list is going to make you feel defensive. I know this because you've been told that having a rewards credit card is the smart way to manage your money. It feels like you're winning, right? You buy your groceries, pay for gas, and then the bank hands you a free trip or a cashback check. But here is the hard truth. You aren't outsmarting the banks. They are trillion-dollar companies for a reason, and they aren't in the business of giving away free money. The real problem isn't the interest rate. It's a psychological trap called spend creep. A famous study from MIT found that when people pay with credit cards instead of physical cash, they actually spend 12% to 18% more on the exact same items. When you use plastic, your brain doesn't feel the pain of the purchase the same way it does when you hand over a $20 bill. You might be earning 2% back in points, but if the card is causing you to spend 15% more overall, you are losing money every single time you swipe. The numbers tell an even darker story. On average, a rewards card holder pays between $150 and $300 every year in annual fees and hidden costs. Meanwhile, that same person usually only redeems about $167 in actual value. You are literally paying the bank for the privilege of spending more of your own money. Now, I know some of you are thinking, Penny, that's not me. I pay my balance in full every single month. And if you truly do that, and you track every single penny with a strict budget, then you are the rare exception. But most people simply aren't that disciplined. Most people use the rewards as an excuse to buy the extra item at the store, because it's basically free anyway. If you want to see if I'm right, I have a challenge for you. Try a 30-day cash or debit only experiment. Put the rewards card in a drawer and only spend money you already have in your hand. I promise you that the amount of money left over at the end of the month will be much higher than any points balance you've ever earned. It's an uncomfortable realization, but it's the first step to taking back control. But as much as that card is a leak in your bucket, this next one is a total flood. And the craziest part is that most people actually call it an asset. I know this is the one you are going to push back on the hardest. We have been told our entire lives that buying a home is the ultimate American dream and the best investment you can ever make. But I want you to take a deep breath and stay with me, because the math tells a very different story. The house you live in is a place to sleep and a place to raise a family, but it is not an investment. Think about how an investment is supposed to work. A real investment puts money into your pocket every month. Your home does the exact opposite. It takes money out. Unlike a business or a stock that pays you, your home charges you property taxes, homeowners association fees, and insurance. Then there is maintenance. Most experts agree you will spend 1% to 2% of your home's total value every single year just to keep it from falling apart. If you own a $350,000 house, That is $7,000 a year just for repairs and upkeep. When you add it all up, a $350,000 home actually costs the average owner between $15,000 and $22,000 every year in carrying costs. And remember, that is before you even pay a single penny toward your mortgage interest. Many people think they are getting rich because their home value went up. But Robert Shiller, a famous economist who studied 100 years of data, found that after you adjust for inflation, home prices only grow by about 0.6% per year. That is almost nothing. Now, I am not saying you should never buy a house. Home ownership provides stability, a sense of community, and the freedom to paint your walls whatever color you want. Those are great reasons to buy. But we need to stop calling it an investment. When you tie up all your extra cash in a house, you are locking away capital that could be growing much faster in other places. If you want to see the reality for your own neighborhood, I want you to go online and find the New York Times Rent versus Buy calculator. Plug in your zip code and the real numbers for your area. The result might completely change how you think about your timeline for building wealth. So far, both of these have been things you can see: a card in your wallet and a roof over your head. But the next one is almost invisible, and it is draining your bank account on autopilot right now. I'm talking about the subscription graveyard. Now, this isn't just a rant about Netflix. It is about the 9 other things charging you silently every single month that you probably couldn't even name if I asked you right now. Because these charges are usually small, maybe $10 or $15 here and there, we treat each one like a tiny, harmless decision. But when you add them all up, they function like a second phone bill, except this one pays you back with nothing but clutter. The data on this is actually shocking. Research shows that the average American underestimates how much they spend on subscriptions by about $133 every month. Most people think they are spending a little bit, but the actual average is closer to $219 a month. That is money going towards streaming services you don't watch, apps you forgot you downloaded, gym memberships you don't use, and software tools you haven't opened in a year. Now, I want to be fair. Some subscriptions are genuine tools that make your life better or help you save time. The problem isn't the idea of a subscription itself. The problem is inertia. We sign up for a free trial, forget to cancel, and then our money just starts flowing away because we are too busy to notice. Over 10 years, that invisible $200 a month could have been over $30,000 if you had invested it instead. I want you to take a ruthless approach to this today. Go download a tool like Rocket Money or Trim. They have free versions that will scan your accounts and show you every single recurring charge in one list. Give yourself just 1 hour. Look at that list and ask yourself, am I actually using this right now? If the answer isn't a loud yes, cancel it immediately. You can always sign up again later if you truly miss it. But for now, stop letting your hard-earned money leak out of your pocket for no reason. Those first 3 items were all about how you spend your money. But now we need to have a serious talk. Because what comes next affects whether you are actually building anything at all or just spinning your wheels. Hey, pause for a second. I really want to hear from you. Which of these first 3 things did you already know about, but hadn't actually done anything about yet? Maybe you knew deep down that the rewards credit card was making you spend more than you should. Or maybe you suspected your subscriptions were out of control, but you just haven't taken that 1 hour to sit down and cancel them. Drop your answer in the comments below. Be honest with yourself and with me. There is no judgment here. We are all just trying to learn how to do this better. Also, if this video is making you think differently about your wealth, and you want more advice that focuses on real data and honest talk, you know where the button is to join our community. Now, take a breath. We have covered the common mistakes that people often overlook. But these next 2, these are the ones that almost nobody talks about. In fact, these are often sold to you as smart financial moves by people you are supposed to trust. Let's look at why they might be doing more harm than good. This next one is tricky because it usually gets sold to people who ask smart questions. That is exactly what makes it so dangerous. I'm talking about using whole life insurance as a wealth building strategy. It sounds sophisticated, doesn't it? An insurance agent might tell you that you can protect your family and grow your savings at the same time. But here is the reality. Trying to combine your life insurance with your investments is like trying to use a tiny multi-tool to build an entire house. It has a lot of parts, but none of them are actually the right ones for the job. Whole life insurance tries to do two things at once, and it does both poorly. The investment part of these policies usually only grows by about 1% to 3.5% per year. That is barely enough to keep up with the rising cost of living. On the other hand, if you simply bought term insurance, which is much cheaper and only covers you for a set number of years, and put the rest of your money into a basic index fund that follows the stock market, you would historically earn 4% to 6% more every single year. Let's look at the actual math, because the numbers don't lie. Imagine you have $500 to spend each month. If you put all of that into a whole life policy for 30 years, you'll have some savings. However, if you spent just $50 a month on a simple term life policy and invested the other $450 into an S&P 500 index fund, most financial models show you would end up with $300,000 to $600,000 more by the time you retire. That is a massive amount of wealth to give up just because a salesperson used fancy words and promised you a guaranteed return. Now, there is one small exception. If you are incredibly wealthy, meaning you have more than $12 million and are worried about huge estate taxes, whole life might actually be a useful tool for you. But for the rest of us, it is almost always the wrong choice. It is a product designed to make the insurance company and the agent rich through high fees and commissions, not to help you reach financial freedom faster. If you already have one of these policies and you aren't sure if it's right for you, here is a practical step you can take today. Call your agent and ask them to give you the internal rate of return on your cash value in writing. Don't let them give you a complicated speech or a maybe. Ask for the hard percentage on paper. If they hesitate or try to change the subject, you have your answer. That specific trap was sold to you by someone else. But the last item on our list, that is a purchase you likely sold to yourself. This last one is the hardest to hear because it doesn't feel like waste. It feels like growth. I call it the course graveyard. Think about that $497 dropshipping course sitting in your email, or that social media marketing bundle, or the real estate masterclass that is currently stuck at 14% completion. We buy these things because we want a better life. When we click that buy button, it feels like we are finally investing in ourselves. That makes this purchase almost impossible to criticize. No one is going to tell you that learning is a bad idea. But self-improvement becomes a trap when it becomes a substitute for taking action. There is a psychological pattern here called the education loop, and it works in 3 phases. Phase 1 is when you feel discomfort. You are tired of your job, or you're frustrated because you're living paycheck to paycheck, so you go looking for a solution. Phase 2 is the purchase. When you buy that course, your brain gets a hit of dopamine. You feel temporary relief because you feel like you did something. But then comes phase 3. Life gets in the way, you don't finish the lessons, and the excitement fades. Soon you are right back to feeling that same discomfort, so you go out and buy the next course to get that winning feeling back again. This isn't just a theory. If you are honest with yourself and look at your Dial Woes folder or your credit card history, you will see this pattern documented in your own life. We keep buying the map, but we never actually start the hike. We tell ourselves we just need one more piece of information before we can begin, but that is just a way to avoid the fear of actually starting a business or changing our habits. There is no perfect course that will magically change your life. The best course isn't the one that costs the most or has the flashiest spokesperson. The best course is simply the one you finish. And more often than not, the one you need to finish is the one you already bought 6 months ago. The secret to wealth isn't knowing more. It's finally doing what you already know you should do. So, where does that leave you? Even if only one or two of these 5 things applied to you today, that is enough to change your future. The fact that you are here, asking these hard questions and actually running the numbers, is not a small thing. It is actually very rare. Most people just go through life following the crowd. They do what their neighbors do and buy what the commercials tell them to buy, because it feels safe to be normal. But you are doing something different. You are stopping to look at the facts, and you are willing to change your mind about things that everyone else calls smart. You aren't just learning a few tips about money today. You are becoming a person who sees wealth in a completely different way. You are becoming someone who doesn't need a brand new car in the driveway or a fancy house to feel like a success. You are starting to realize that the scoreboard most people are playing on isn't the real one. Their scoreboard is based on how much they can spend and show off. Your scoreboard is based on how much freedom and security you are building for yourself. If it doesn't feel like you are getting rich yet, stay encouraged. Real wealth building is usually very quiet. It isn't a loud explosion. It's the steady sound of a clock ticking. It happens in the small choices you make every day to stop the leaks and keep your money working for you. You are doing it the right way, and that is what matters most. Now that we have identified the 5 things that are draining your bank account, the next step is to figure out exactly what to do with the money you just freed up. The next video in this series breaks down the best systems for your cash, so you can start seeing that wealth grow for real. It is already up and ready for you to watch. I'm Penny, and I'll see you over there.